Bonjour mes amis! Hi guys! Back with Johnny Guitar, and we're going to talk about our predictions for, well, I was going to say Basel World. What is it, Watches and Wonder? What is it going to be? There's going to be a physical event, hopefully in Beijing in April, and at the same time it's going to be on the web.
Yeah.
Early April.
Are you going to fly to Beijing for that?
Yeah, of course. Rolex is going to send me my first class ticket as usual. So, for the past year or two, I've been saying the same thing. I think that the missing link in the GMT is the two-tone yellow, gold, black. That would be great if it came now with the new movement with Jubilee.
I mean, obviously they do have the Datejust two-tone with the Jubilee bracelet. It would be consistent, historically, for them to have that on the GMT-Master, because they've had that since the 1675-3. So it would be a good one to have.
My thing is just too passé, or maybe they would do it. Well, they have the root beer with the Ever Rose.
Look. If 3, 4, 5 years ago people told you about a root beer, you would have said, yeah, but that's really 70s.
And you can't find it.
You're going to wear bell-bottom pants with it and all the rest of it. But the reality is it looks really, really nice.
I think if they do it, people will buy it, because especially they can't find in the steel ones. So it's a good chance to move some two-tone
Actually, one
models.
of my friends is looking for root beer, and obviously you can't find it at retail, because I think at retail it goes.
It's getting very popular.
No,
big demand.
I checked for him, right? So the retail price in Hong Kong, I think, is around
116.
115, 116.
115, 800, I think.
But you can't really find it for less than 150. There's really two other models that I think are ripe for an upgrade. Obviously the Explorer line, and the other one is the Milgauss. And the reason for that is, since they have upgraded the Oyster Perpetual to have a new movement which has all of the latest technology, 70 hours power reserve, Paraflex shock absorber, power crown, blue. So since they've done this on their entry level, which is going, I think, for 45,000 Hong Kong, it makes no sense to have a Milgauss which goes for, I think, something like 61 or 62,000.
It's very expensive.
So it comes at a premium, and the professional line always comes at a premium versus the Oyster Perpetual. It makes no sense for them to continue the Milgauss with a movement that is inferior to the one that you have in the Oyster Perpetual. And while they do this, the next logical step would be the Air-King as well, because the Air-King is really a Milgauss with a different styling. It's the same case, same movement.
All brushed.
It's all brushed, and it's got different hands and dial. But there too, they would have down the line to upgrade to the
So
latest
there's
movement.
huge opportunity for them to restyle the Milgauss and possibly the Air-King. Air-King is limitless. When you see the old ones with a rotating bezel, it's limitless what they can do with it. The
So
Milgauss as well. I would love to see it in two-tone. Being a fairly polished watch already.
Well, at the end of the day,
Just to piss off everybody.
they pissed me off when they made a two-tone seat weather the other year. So there's no.
Have you ever
limit to
seen
what
it?
they're gonna do,
Have
right?
you ever
So-
seen it in a shop?
No, I've never seen.
There
it.
you go. It sells.
Or in the flesh, for that matter.
They can do anything now.
Then the other one, which is super obvious, is and many people have commented on this already, is the Explorer. The Explorer line is due for an upgrade.
Monochrome watches. Have you seen their account today on Instagram? They were showing all the pictures of their predictions.
No, I didn't see that.
Interesting one. Nice colors for the suggestions for the Daytona. Obviously the Explorer in white.
But
I would leave the Explorer alone. I think Rolex is never going to change it. They'd leave it alone. But
no, but I actually.
the Explorer 2 is the main prediction.
I will disagree with that, because the thing is, the Explorer, still based on the 39mm case that they were using, and it seems like they've made up their mind that men's watch now, if it's not going to be the classic 36mm size, is 41 millimeters and up.
Yeah, but you see, I see that the Explorer isn't that void now because there's not much there
Yeah,
in
but the thing
39,
is, but at the
which
very
is people's
least,
favorite size.
but at the very least, they're going to have to upgrade the movement because again, right now, it's got an inferior movement to the one of the OP41.
Inferior, but yeah, who needs 70 hours of power reserve? If you wear it every couple of days, and who knows what's going to happen to those long power reserve
but I don't think it's
springs,
that.
you know.
I think that from an industrial perspective, it doesn't make sense to keep too many SKUs, so parts numbers.
Yeah, true.
For the sake of.
But they can't
keeping
make the
them.
Explorer bigger. People already want the smaller version.
So what I think is going to happen, frankly, I think they're going to use the same case as the OP41.
The OP.
They're going to put a flat bezel on it, which worries me a bit because it's going to look really big once it has a flat bezel on it. And if you want to convince yourself of that, you just look at a Datejust 41 with a flat steel bezel. It looks really big. But I think that this is where it's going to go with the upgraded movement. Will they do a wide dial? I know that everybody's screaming for it. I find it hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because I think for them, in their mind, it's like you want an Explorer, it's a black dial watch, and that's that. You want something with funky colors, you go an OP40.
It's the whole point of the Explorer. It is one thing and it's simple.
But the thing is, what you don't have anymore, I don't think you have anymore in the entire catalog any model, regardless of the size, with a 369 dial except for the Explorer. I would love it if they decided, okay, now we've got also a great case in the 36 millimeters.
It makes sense.
And let's just do the same thing. You just have like a black Explorer 41 and a black Explorer 36.
So they're going to use the same hands. They're going to be too short. So in 2 years, they're going to do Mark II.
Yes, of course. The Explorer 2 is the other obvious one. Again, because it has an older style movement. It's got the 3187, which is basically the same as the 3186, except that it's a little bit bigger, and I think it's got a Paraflex shock absorber as opposed to KIF. Now the Explorer 2, I wish they would go back down to 41 and 40, but then it serves the purpose at 42 because they need something in there. The only other one they have in there is the Skydweller. So I think they would want to give someone, people, a 42 millimeter for a true sports watch, which the Skydweller is not.
Speaking of Skydweller, have you heard the rumor that the Steels would be discontinued? Imagine that.
I think I like watches more than I like money, so I probably wouldn't buy one. Although, it's financially, it's a smart thing to do.
So big.
I say that all the time, but a bit of a curveball. What I would love for them to reintroduce is a Turn-O-Graph. The way that people think about it now is basically Datejust with a functional bezel, right? Which is what it became. The original Turn-O-Graph is the mother of all of the sports sign at Rolex. Came out in '53, before the Submariner, at the same time as the Explorer. So it was the first watch advertised for like the active traveler, because you could measure time and all that.
A bit like the C-Master was a dressy watch, but with a capacity to be a bit more sporty and useful.
So what I would love is for a Turn-O-Graph with a thin ceramic bezel and a really constrained size, as in like 38 millimeters, because it was always when it came out as
they're a bit small, huh?
Yes, they are, and I would love to have. The only thing that you have currently in the catalog around that ballpark is a Yachtmaster in 37 millimeters. That's the only thing that you have. So if they could do something like a Turn-O-Graph, 38 millimeters, thin black bezel, take an inspiration from the kind of dial and hands that it had back in the 50s, they would hit it out of the park with that, because all the women will want one, all of the guys with slightly smaller wrists
Yeah.
want was as well. It would be true to their history, and right now they just don't have it in the catalog anymore.
What about the older ones? I'm getting very Turn-O-Graph curious. I go and to the
Yeah.
shops, and there's great colors, you know, in
You've
the
got,
range.
So are you talking about like
So some with some bit of red touches on it and a dark dial.
one of my best friends has this very watch, an American guy who lives in Singapore. So he has a Datejust Turn-O-Graph, right?
Yeah.
So with the which one has it?
A Thunderbird.
Yeah,
as they were
Thunderbird,
called.
basically. I'm trying to remember whether his is white or navy blue. One or the other. It's a great watch. It's a great
It's
watch.
really cool, huh?
It suffers a little bit from having the design of the case that you had on the Datejust 10 years ago, which is like with the thicker lugs,
Yeah.
which I don't think fits a Submariner, a Datejust all that well. But it's a great watch altogether.
I mean, great call. A new Turn-O-Graph.
I would love
That could be killer.
In terms of vintage models, the one I've always liked the best, but that was always out of reach because even when I went into this hobby, it was already stupidly expensive, was the Milgauss 1019,
Yeah.
which is a 38mm watch, and I've been cursing them for not doing a watch like that for the past 40 years. I can't remember when it was discontinued.
But that's the whole point with Rolex, is that they preserve every model by making it the next one different.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have the older one, great for your bank account, you know, great for your equity.
Another thing though is they really need to start looking at their quality control, because now that there's a number of YouTubers that have got like these incredible macro lenses and are doing this level of photography which is amazing, and you look at some of the stuff sometimes on some of the Rolexes, it makes me cringe, literally. Certainly past the $10,000
Past 10 grand, you want perfection.
have to have something that is absolutely spotless.
All right, Johnny, I think that's it for us today. Thank you again for your hospitality.
Oh, pleasure to have you.
Any
As
special
usual.
questions for Johnny, put them in the comments. He's reading them, he's commenting on them. Thank you, Johnny, and until next time.
Thanks a lot, Dick. You take care.
So long.
I'm a bit bothered about people asking me my autograph in the street all the time. Oh, JohnnyGuitar.
It is
will you
annoying.
autograph my watch or my case back or whatnot? Or will you autograph my arm and I'll get a tattoo?
JG, yeah.
So anyway, the
You can tell this video is sponsored by Suntory Highballer.